Post on 95.7 The Game.
Warriors start training camp in 9 days.
My God.
Oh, my God. 9 days. The champs are back, baby. The champs are back. Remember all the people who doubted the champs? Remember that? Panic meter and stuff like that? The champs are back, baby. 9 days. Can't wait for the Dubs to be back on the floor.
I want to get into Debo in a minute, but
Right.
we were just talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, everybody going back and forth. And I know that there's a specific quote from Chris Sims that you want to read right now regarding the quarterback situation that I find almost laughable. And again, this goes back to the misinterpretation of what happened years ago.
Right.
I will remind you in a second. Why don't you read the Chris Sims quote, and then,
I'm not even going to read it. We're going to play the sound from the Chris Sims podcast.
Because
Here it is.
I have some stats I want to back this up with.
I do agree with him. Now, I'm not going to say, you said it right before we got in this game. Let's not overjudge it. It was a f***ing monsoon, okay? And he's still young and raw. But to the point of okay? Durs makes some good points, and they are a Super Bowl football team. Look at you, got you giggling now. They are a Super Bowl football team. And to do justice to your organization, your fan base, and more importantly to your football team, the guys in the locker room, you got to play the best players. And I think there's guys, I've heard through the grapevine, there's guys in that locker room that go, Jimmy G's the best player. I mean, I know.
He's proven it. How would you say differently right now?
I know. And I don't want to call people out here, but I've heard from people that I know around the NFL to go, yeah, there's some prominent people in the 49ers locker room that go, Jimmy Garoppolo's better.
Wait a minute. Did they directly reach out to you? Because that's what you said first, Chris Sims, that they directly reached out to you. Then you said, prominent people who have heard from other people. So to me, that's okay. We could split hairs on
I'm in for Reed. He's proven that he's better. But again, did we not and I'm not here to crush Jimmy Garoppolo.
No.
Again, I've said this over and over. Jimmy Garoppolo's a damn good 49er.
Yeah, but the context.
He's a damn good 49er.
I get frustrated with the context.
Right. We've seen it over the last 2 years. He's regressed as a quarterback. And it was obvious that Kyle Shanahan did not trust him. Availability, what did they say, is your best ability. He wasn't available for key stretches for the 49ers in 2018 and 2020. Those are the facts. They won in spite of Jimmy in those playoff games. I was there with my own two eyes in Jerry's world.
He won games too, though.
Right.
Like not to take anything away from him. And I know that's not what you're doing.
The LA game in Week 18 was special.
He was awesome.
It was special, right? But then there's also the Tennessee game on Christmas Eve where it's I swear that night was incredible because I remember texting people. I said, man, did you see Steph Curry? Now he dropped 46. Nobody wanted to watch the Warriors game.
No.
Because of how Jimmy played that Tennessee game. They were like, I gotta take it off. And all of a sudden, what's fascinating to me, it's fascinating that all of a sudden, Jimmy G's getting all these props. He didn't get this many props in 2019. The same people who are propping him up, are saying, oh, Jimmy this. Oh, they couldn't throw the ball with Jimmy. They had to run the ball so many times. He only threw the ball 8 times because they didn't trust Jimmy. Oh, he threw up on himself in Minnesota and Shanahan had to take the ball out of his hands. I defended Jimmy that year. I defended him. But who gets to play for Super Bowl 54? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, that's never been fair. And you and I agree with that.
It hasn't been fair.
It has never been fair.
But that's been the national narrative.
No, I know.
Listen, and they all fixated on that one throw. Oh, he should have made that throw to Emmanuel Sanders.
Which is what we're doing to Trey today, which is funny.
We're overdoing Tyler Croft. But then he made up for it by throwing a dime to Ray-Ray McCloud.
It's never
and a
one
dime to
play.
Dwayne. It's never one play.
It's never
one play at all. But the fact that all of a sudden Jimmy is getting all these props now is fascinating to me, Shasky. I just where did it come from?
Let's go back to 2019. The Niners famously started 8-0. They started 8-0 that year.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any idea of what Jimmy's numbers were through the first? I'm going to use the first 6 games because Peter King said week 7 Jimmy's going to take over this year.
So I remember who they beat. They beat the first 2 games. They beat Cincinnati.
Tampa Bay was week 1.
And Jimmy threw a pick. Remember Shanahan?
I'll give you all the numbers.
Shanahan ripped him, right?
Yeah.
Ripped him. They had 2 pick sixes in that game against Jameis Winston. All right, 2 pick sixes. Defense won that game. Cincinnati. He threw a pick 6. Remember, he threw it in quadruple coverage, and then Shanahan said, we're going to run the ball the next possession and take this game back over. All right, Pittsburgh, 5 turnovers. Home opener, 5 turnovers, right? 5 turnovers. Didn't play that great, but it wasn't all his fault. They beat, was Washington part of that stretch?
Yes, but Cleveland at home, Monday Nighter, Rams, then Washington.
All right.
So I'm going to give you the numbers.
Hold on. I'm just going to, Cleveland first played the game. Matt Breida goes 80 yards. They dominated that game because
Bosa
of defense.
was outstanding.
Bosa was outstanding. Baker threw up on
And
himself.
Jimmy was good.
Jimmy was good. And then, who you say, the L.A. Rams?
Yes, where they went down to L.A.
The stats weren't pretty that game.
No, he threw in a red zone pick, actually.
Yeah,
in
I remember
game.
that.
And then people lost their minds.
Right.
And then, obviously, they ended up playing Washington. They beat them 9-0.
In the monsoon
just
game.
through 6 games of 2019, through 6 games, they were 6-0. 6-0. He was 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 6 fumbles.
Wow.
Now, if I told you, hey, Trey Lance starts off 5-1, and those are his numbers,
They would say bench Trey.
in a heartbeat. Now, the situations are different now, but I just
Right.
think I wanted to clarify just the narratives around things, because you've referenced what happened in the playoffs last year, and we do this thing where we associate quarterback wins with the quarterback when there's other parts of
Right.
it. Is it a skill? I do believe winning is a skill. I don't want to take away that from Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
It's part of the learning process. Josh Allen has talked about it. I had to learn how to win games. There's a management, there's a composure that you have to have, there's checking into the right run or throw or whatever. There's putting your team in a position to win. That is a skill. But there's also the nuance of touchdowns and turnovers. And when you have 7 touchdowns and 12 turnovers through 6 games and your team's 6-0, like, again, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo did through 2019. But the way we talk about him now, you'd think he's Tom Brady.
It's really surreal. It's surreal how we talk about him. It's surreal. And can we wrap our eyes around trade and see what it is?
It's
How
unfair.
can we can't be patient?
It's unfair.
If I read you Ben Roethlisberger's numbers, because I've done this before. Ben Roethlisberger's first year when the Pittsburgh Steelers advanced to the AFC Championship game, they were led by a running game and defense. A running game and defense. I believe he threw over 200 yards just on the top of the head, maybe twice that year. Maybe twice. They even let him throw the ball. They even let him throw the ball. He was throwing the ball 19 times, 20 times, 18 times. It was fascinating. Let's get to Trevor in San Rafael,
Yeah,
and then I'll cite these numbers here.
Okay.
Trevor, what's going on? You're on the Morning Roast.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Obviously disappointed with the week 1 results, but I think everyone's overreacting. I'm not
Agreed.
that type. I'm a realist. I'm psyched for this week against Seattle. I'm going to the game with my buddy. But
Good.
I honestly feel that the week 1 outing, the blame lies on the coaching staff and Shanahan. I mean, 12 penalties for 99 yards. That's just unacceptable. That just shows that the team was unprepared for week 1. They weren't ready. And
Yep.
I think the fact that we have Lance, who's obviously untested, and the rookie, I feel a lot of that pressure should have been alleviated by our good defense. Like,
100%.
Our good defense was giving up most of those penalties,
Right.
allowing the Bears to stay on the field.
100%.
Gave up 19 straight points, second half.
And so, look, I'm glad you're bringing this up. And this to me is the biggest issue. And look, I think everyone needs to take a deep breath. Why were the Niners good last year? Just like if you were to a couple of bullet points. Deebo Samuel was unbelievable.
Deebo was
okay, now that's
unbelievable.
just one of the many guys. I paid Deebo Samuel after he held out this year and wanted to be traded $25 million in guarantees for this year.
Yep.
Okay? And he got less touches than Jeff Wilson Jr. in
know.
the second half of a must-win game. Like, as mad as I am with Deebo fumbling, that's on Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle, find a way. I don't care if it's week 1, week 10, week 17. You get the ball to your best playmakers.
well-
And if I were to hierarchy rank who the best playmaker, Jeff Wilson Jr. is like 9th on my list.
Well, Jeff Wilson Jr.'s night. Jawan Jennings got 6 targets. Now, Jawan Jennings had a fine game. But how does Brandon Ayuk walk off that football field with 2 official targets? We know about the offensive pass interference.
100%
That
agree.
would, if that phantom flag is picked up, that means 3 targets for Brandon Ayuk, 3 catches.
That's not enough.
That's not enough for Brandon Ayuk.
Even though the conditions were wet and rainy,
but
can I see
not-
a smoke screen for him?
Not the first 2.
Well,
the
Trey
first
did skip a couple smoke screens.
The first play of the game, they gave a jet sweep to Brandon Ayuk, and
Yeah.
he picks up 9. And he looks spry. I'm like, wow, this guy looks fast.
I
He
know.
looks quick.
He made a really nice catch in the fourth or late third quarter, early fourth quarter
Right.
on that little it was a third down or a second down pass, and he got
Yep.
it right up into the to a first down marker.
So Ben Roethlisberger, he's walking into the Hall of Fame, right? Pittsburgh was in win now mode under Bill Cowher. Win now mode back in 2004. Pittsburgh Steelers are Super Bowl contenders basically for like a good 15-year stretch. Ben Roethlisberger threw for over 200 yards 4 times that season. He ended up being 13-0 with that team. Why? Strong defense, strong running game. He had a lot of games. 176 yards, 163 yards, 174 yards. And Pittsburgh's always on national TV, so we saw those games. He threw 17 touchdown passes and 11 picks. 17 touchdown passes and 11 picks. He threw the ball over the most attempts he had that year, Shasky.
24.
28.
28.
He had a bunch of 18,
And
16,
how many?
17, and they go 13-0.
And how many passes did Trey drop back to attempt in this game?
28, but really it was late, so it was.
But
they
still,
wanted to keep it around 22, 24.
That goes to show
but
you.
28.
That's too many.
That's too many.
Especially given how good we expect this defense to be. And that's the other misnomer about yesterday's game.
I would love for people to go back and look at Steve Young at Tampa Bay. Go look at his game.
He got pummeled.
You know what I'm saying?
But
go back
people
and look
think
at Joe
that this
Montana.
roster is better.